President Bongbong Marcos' cabinet members will not attend the second Senate hearing on former President Rodrigo Duterte's arrest by the International Criminal Court, according to Senator Amy Marcos' office. The senator's office received a letter from Executive Secretary Lucas Bersamin dated March 31, which was addressed to Senator Marcos and Senate President Cheese Escudero. Based on the letter, Bersamin says the officials had sincerely answered all the questions to the best of their knowledge, providing all information elicited by Senate committee members. He reasons that further participation may no longer be necessary at this time, citing the fact that Senator Marcos publicly relayed her committee's initial findings. The palace official also reiterates his position of invoking the executive privilege of the officials in the proceedings, as stated in a letter he sent to Escudero on March 20. Executive privilege is a constitutional doctrine that allows high-ranking officials to withhold some sensitive information. Bersamin believes all matters not covered by executive privilege have already been extensively discussed. He also points out that 4 pending Supreme Court petitions relate to Duterte's ICC arrest. Bersamin argues that the petitions are closely intertwined with the issues being deliberated in the hearings. According to Bersamin, further discussions on the matters may violate the sub judice rule, which could unduly influence ongoing proceedings. Senator Marcos says the expected absence contradicts Malacanang's earlier position that it will not hinder the officials from participating in the hearing. Senator Marcos earlier presented the panel's preliminary findings, pointing to supposed glaring lapses in Duterte's apprehension. She said the government does not have the obligation to arrest and surrender Duterte to the ICC. However, Palace Press Officer Claire Castro disputed this, saying the Philippines has a commitment to cooperate with Interpol. Led by Senator Marcos, the Senate Committee on Foreign Relations held its first hearing on March 20. The panel seeks to investigate the arrest of Duterte for crimes against humanity charges before the ICC. Duterte was arrested at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport on March 11 and was flown on the same day to The Hague, Netherlands. He is currently being held pending his trial for crimes against humanity allegedly committed during his administration's drug war. The former president had his pre-trial hearing on March 14, while his confirmation of charges is scheduled for September 23. A lawyer representing extrajudicial killing victims says former President Rodrigo Duterte's legal counsel is looking to challenge the International Criminal Court's jurisdiction on his crimes against humanity case to prevent it from reaching trial at all costs. Attorney Nery Colmenares believes it will be hard for Duterte's lawyer, Nicholas Kaufman, to counter the surmounting evidence against the former president once the trial takes place. Kaufman earlier said he thinks the jurisdictional argument is compelling, adding the ICC cannot exercise its jurisdiction over the case. He also noted that there won't be a confirmation of charges hearing if the judges rule in his client's favor. According to Colmenares, he already expected Kaufman to raise the issue on jurisdiction. Colmenares also notes that the issue on jurisdiction has been previously resolved by the ICC as provided in Article 127 of the Rome Statute. According to the provision, while a state may withdraw, such withdrawal shall not prejudice in any way the consideration of any matter already under the ICC prior to the withdrawal's effectivity. Colmenares stresses that the ICC has jurisdiction since the matter of crimes against humanity has been under the consideration of the court before the withdrawal. On March 16, 2018, Duterte declared the Philippines' withdrawal from the Rome Statute, or the treaty which established the criminal court. But the withdrawal took effect only a year after, or on March 16, 2019. Jude Sabio, the lawyer of confessed hitman Edgar Matobato, filed a complaint before the ICC in 2017, while Colmenares filed a complaint of the victims' families in August 2018. The former president had his pre-trial hearing on March 14. The confirmation of charges is scheduled for September 23. According to the ICC, there will be no trial if the charges against him are not confirmed. Government data showed at least 6,000 people were killed during the Duterte administration's drug war. But watchdogs and the ICC prosecutor estimated the death toll to be between 12,000 and 30,000 from 2016 to 2019. Following the destructive magnitude 7.7 earthquake that struck Myanmar and Thailand last week, an official from the Office of Civil Defense admits that the Philippines still has a lot of catching up to do when it comes to disaster preparedness. At a public briefing on Tuesday, April 1, Office of Civil Defense spokesperson Director Chris Noel Bendijo emphasizes how crucial it is to comply with the National Building Code. He notes that preparations for a massive earthquake in the Philippines would be in vain if our infrastructure is not robust enough.
Mawawalan po ng saysay ang ating pagdaduck cover at hold na ginagawa natin sa earthquake drill kung yung mga gusali at mga building natin ay magko-collapse din po, no, dahil ito po ay hindi sumunod sa building code. Kapag dito po nagkakaroon tayo ng pagso-shortcut, na nalalagay po sa alanganin at panganib ang ating mga sarili at ating mga pamilya sa pagdating po ng sakuna dahil po yung resilience ng istruktura ay nakasalalay po sa ating pagsunod sa building code.
The magnitude 7.7 earthquake that hit Myanmar and Thailand on March 28 left over 2,000 dead as of March 31. This earthquake reignited fears over the potential Big One quake that seismologists predict could strike Metro Manila in the future. According to a study by FIVOX, a magnitude 7.2 earthquake along the West Valley Fault could cause the collapse of at least 168,000 buildings and result in more than 33,000 deaths in Metro Manila and surrounding provinces. The West Valley Fault spans 100 kilometers through 5 cities in Metro Manila and parts of Bulacan, Rizal, Laguna, and Cavite. Palace Press Officer Claire Castro earlier said local government units should conduct building inspections and enforce stricter issuance of building permits. The Department of Foreign Affairs does not recommend that the relatives of 2 missing overseas Filipino workers in earthquake-hit Myanmar fly out with the Philippine rescue team. Parents of Edsel Jess Adalid earlier requested to join the country's contingent team in Myanmar before dawn on Tuesday, April 1. Edsel and his wife Alexis Gale are among 4 Filipinos still missing in Myanmar, according to the DFA. The first batch of the Philippine rescue team departed from Villamor Air Base early Tuesday, while another batch will follow on Wednesday, April 2. Foreign Affairs Undersecretary Eduardo De Vega says the parents' request is not recommended due to the situation in Myanmar. De Vega also notes that the Department of National Defense is now in charge of the deployment of rescue personnel. Myanmar's military junta said the massive 7.7 magnitude quake claimed over 2,000 lives, while 3,900 people were injured. A total of 270 people remain missing following the Myanmar earthquake. Myanmar has been ravaged by 4 years of civil war sparked by a military coup in 2021, with its economy shattered and healthcare and infrastructure badly damaged. The Philippine National Police says some former workers of Philippine offshore gaming operators retrieved devices from their facilities during the government's crackdown on scam hubs. In a press briefing on Tuesday, April 1, PNP Anti-Cybercrime Group spokesperson Lieutenant Wallen Arancillo says they are continuously monitoring, especially on online platforms, to see where these devices could have ended up. However, the PNP Anti-Cybercrime Group does not have the data for how many devices could be traced back to Pogos. Arancillo likewise announces the arrest of a man in Manila for selling a text blaster he bought from a former Pogo security guard. The Anti-Cybercrime Unit reports that they arrested the suspect in an entrapment operation in Paco, Manila on March 27. Arancillo says their operatives spotted the suspect selling the text blaster for 10,000 pesos on social media and online selling platforms. The arrested individual was caught with one device with 8 SIM ports, each capable of sending thousands of messages at a time. The PNP Anti-Cybercrime Group does not provide details on which Pogo the device originated. The suspect is identified as Popoy, an unemployed 49-year-old resident of Paco, Manila. He is currently detained at the PNP Anti-Cybercrime Group's custodial facility in Camp Crame. He is facing complaints for violating the Cybercrime Prevention Act and the Radio Control Act.